Hi everyone, Sherry Hopkins with Eye Care Counseling here. I thought I would do a little bit of a different topic today since we are approaching the end of the school year for high schools and colleges and any school. Everyone's trying to wrap it up and survive finals and do it online, and everything is just kind of upended and different and strange. So I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of talk about that, what that feels like, the stress involved with that, trying to manage how do I finish school in this, current climate when things are just so different. So the first thing I thought we would talk about is the difference between anxiety and stress. So in a previous video, I talked about what anxiety was, the fear of the unknown, and how not knowing can leave someone feeling out of control. And that is what anxiety is, that feeling of out of control because of fear of the unknown. Stress can take all forms. It can come from all angles. It feels like pressure. It feels uncomfortable. It can elevate your heart rate and make you sweat and make you want to run or fight. Those are the responses of stress, fight or flight. And so right now, end of school year, finals coming up, this is the time when students are wanting to check out. They're saying, I can't do it anymore. It's too much. It's too stressful. Everything going on in the world with the pandemic or family or feeling displaced or not feeling well or knowing a family member not feeling well. All of these things contribute to the stress. And at some point, your body and your mind just say, I'm out, or you fight and you get aggressive in some way, whether it's verbally, physically, whatever, however you get that stress out. So in addressing fight or flight, it can have some serious consequences sometimes, especially when you have responsibilities. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about those stress responses, that fight or flight response. So whenever you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, and that is the body's natural way to deal with stress. And it's that adrenaline. It's the thing that flows through you that makes you either want to fight to handle the situation or flee to remove yourself from the situation. And back in the old days, the cavemen, they needed that stress response to be able to deal with bears chasing them or whatever, and so they were trying to hunt and gather for their families, and they needed that fight or flight response to be able to protect themselves and their families. But the cortisol was only being released in those bursts, those short bursts, whenever they were confronted with some sort of aggression or conflict or anything, some sort of stress. Well, nowadays, in our current climate, we are facing that 24/7. Our bodies, our minds, emotions, we feel under that stress 24/7. The cortisol is being released 24/7. Our bodies feel like they're in a fight or flight response 24/7. It's very stressful. It can break you down. It can make you feel exhausted, overwhelmed, overcome, any number of things. And so eventually it just shuts down because it can't handle it anymore. But if we recognize that is those outside stimuli, those are the imaginary bear. So back in the old days, a bear is chasing you, you go into flight or flight, the bear goes away, and now your body can stop releasing the cortisol and you can get on with your life. Well, now we have a million imaginary bears chasing us all the time. The imaginary bear of the pandemic, government shutdowns, worried about families, finances, school, finals, all these things. These are all imaginary bears that are chasing us. And our bodies can't differentiate between what's a real threat and what's an imagined threat. So we have to remind ourselves in those moments, is this a real threat or is this an imagined threat right now? Am I going to stop in my tracks, turn around, face that imaginary bear down and say, you don't exist, poof, be gone? Or am I going to continue to run from this imaginary threat, this imaginary bear? So I want you to just kind of step back and think about that while you're going through the end of the school year and you're seeing all of the, your finals, your papers, you're not at school, things are unusual, all of these imaginary threats all around you, and they feel very, very real. They look very, very real, but bottom line, they are triggering those stress responses, and you can handle each one. You can stop in your tracks, you can turn around, you can face that imaginary bear, and you can say, you don't exist except in my mind. You only have the amount of power that I give you, and right now I'm going to choose to give you no power. So poof, be gone. I encourage you to try that over these next couple of weeks as you're finishing up school, as you're trying to deal with these finals and papers and work with teachers and family and figure out what's the next step, what's going to happen next. Don't give up. Don't run from these imaginary bears. Stop, turn, face the imaginary bear. You can do this. You can finish strong. You have the control. These imaginary threats do not control you. Hang in there. Things will get better. Things will get back to normal. Whatever normal is, it's different for everybody. But I encourage you to just hang in there. You can do this. Stay safe and wash your hands and love one another.